Yunfa, 1968, woohoo! So, 1968, Alexander Dubček is the first communist secretary, or dude in charge, right? Now Dubček, he decides that he does not like the restrictions that the communists have imposed. So he decides to relax the restrictions. He grants people travel visas. He grants people the freedom of speech. And the Czechs, they love this. They're taking the travel visas, they're going to Cuba, where they can drink the mojito. Now, they love mojitos. Mojitos are like the #1 drink on every single Czech menu. You will notice this if you go out. So, they're, you know, freedom of speech, they're writing anything they want. They're not getting put in prison camps or disappearing forever, right? So the Czechs love it, but some people do not love it. The people who do not love it are the hardline communists over in Moscow. And the communists in Moscow decide that they need to put a stop to this relaxation of rules, this Prague Spring, as it was called. Because it's dangerous. It could spread to the other communist countries, like swine flu. So, the Russians, the Muscovites, decide to invade Czechoslovakia with all of the Warsaw Pact troops. 200,000 troops, 2,000 tanks, and 800 planes. And not just that, guys. They're going to invade at midnight. Well, why midnight? First of all, it just sounds badass, right? We invade at midnight. Second of all, the radio was turned off between midnight and 6 a.m. So the Russians figure they can just sweep into Prague, set up their silly little dolls, and when everyone wakes up, oh hello, mini Moscow. By the way, those dolls are not Czech, they're Russian. Anyway, this is a great idea, in theory. So on August 20th, 1968, the Russians, with all of the Warsaw Pact troops, they invade Czechoslovakia! But there was a little problem. Because you see, in 1968, Russia, they used daylight savings time. And in 1968, Czechoslovakia, no. So the Russians think they're invading at midnight, and it's really 11 p.m. Radio is definitely still on. Okay. So the announcer gets on and says, resist, resist, the Russians are coming, resist, but resist peacefully. Because, you know, Czechs, we're not violent people. It's not exactly like you can wake up Grandpa, you know, Grandpa, the Russians are here. I'll get my guns, I'll shoot those pesky Russians. No. Also, because every grandfather here sounds like Yosemite Sam, apparently. And also, unfortunately, this is not the United States. You can't walk into a Walmart and buy yourself a gun to shoot the Russians. Even if you could, the Czechs probably wouldn't even know how to use it. They'd be like... But the Czechs, they're really good at resisting peacefully, right? So they tear down all of the street signs except the ones that point back to Moscow. The railroad conductors, they have a little brain fart, if you will, and they send the Russian trains in circles and circles and circles for days and days and days. Czechoslovakia back then, it was a very small country. It only took about 6 hours to drive across. It took the Russians 3 days to find the city of Prague. Kind of vague. But unfortunately, they did make it here. They packed up Alexander Dubček in a box. They sent him back to Moscow for reprogramming. When he came back, he was allowed to finish out his term. But after that, he was replaced by hardline communist puppets, which are the worst kind of puppets ever, guys. Okay. Now, Jan Palach, the point of this story, he's 21 years old. He's a student. He studies philosophy at the philosophical faculty at Charles University. He's upset that the Russians have invaded his country. He's also upset that the Czechs have not really done anything about it. You know, what's the street front crap? So to show his displeasure to the entire world, he goes up to the National Museum, he douses himself in kerosene, and he lights himself on fire. Now, Jan Palach, unfortunately, did not die right then and there. It took him 4 days to die in the hospital. And when he was there, his friends came and visited him. They wanted to do the same thing in a form of solidarity. But Jan Palach said, do not do this. It is too painful, too excruciating a death to wish onto anyone. So Jan Palach, unfortunately, eventually died. But every January 16th, which is the anniversary of the day he set himself on fire, people will go up to his memorial, and they will put flowers there, and candles too, which is perhaps inappropriate. But hey. Now, 2 months after Palach died, the Czech hockey team beat the Russian hockey team. Another common occurrence throughout Czech history. Most recently, what was it, 4 days ago? into Wenceslas Square to celebrate, but oops, it turns into a political demonstration. The Russians, they use this as an excuse to have no more gatherings, no more demonstrations in Wenceslas Square for good. However, by the late 80s, Gorbachev's in charge, right? He introduces glasnost and perestroika, a period of openness, okay? So everyone floods into Wenceslas Square again, and they decide to try some peaceful resistance again. And this time, they take out their keys, and they shake them. Everyone. It's kind of like a right? Jingle, 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 jingle. The keys. You giggle. I see some smiles. But there's, yes, exactly. There's two things you need to know about the keys. Number one, it worked. How's that for passive resistance, right? The second, the keys were meant to show the transfer of the keys of government over from communism to democracy. So young fella, very important dude. And if you guys want to learn more about communism, our castle tour goes up to what used to be the communist secret police prison. And you get to hear about how they surveyed people and kind of like how everyone was a communist informant. It's crazy. Also, the Communist Museum is actually right down there. And one of the funniest things about the Communist Museum, it's next to a McDonald's and a casino. Awesome. All right, we're going to head down this boulevard, but the name of the boulevard is Napshikopet, all right? Which in Czech means on the moat, because this entire boulevard used to be the moat of the city of Prague. It also used to have the walls of the city of Prague. The walls of the city of Prague, they were guarded by 16 heavily fortified gates. But today, there is only one gate left. And we're going to go see it! Woo! Let's go.